Hi, I'm Carlton, and this is The Serving Effect, where we uncover the power of serving others by bringing in people in the community just like you and I. We're going to give you stories, inspiring stories, of where individuals and organizations are serving, transforming lives, and building community through acts of service, whether big or small. We're going to bring heroes, people who are building a stronger, more connected community by their acts of service. And I hope it reminds us that we are able to help our community and to serve our community, make a difference, to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. So whether you're actively serving in your community or you need a spark of inspiration, you're in the right place. So let's get started today with our inspiring story and our hero from the community, Amy White. Welcome, Amy. How are you?
Hey, Carlton. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Well, we wanted a hero, another hero on this episode, so there was no one else that we could think of that needed to be here other than the Amy White, involved in everything.
You are kind. I don't know that hero is an appropriate title, but I do love to serve my community. And so I'm just excited to chat with others and hopefully inspire them to get involved and make a difference.
Good, good. So let's start with the Amy before all the acts of service. What started? I mean, what's something that you can remember that kind of built up this idea of serving and then it being something that's just part of your life now?
It's been a really interesting journey. Carlton, I really don't remember a time in my life where I wasn't serving. And my parents just always offered me opportunities to do something that was bigger than myself or our family. And, Girl Scouts was a great segue into just seeing others and their needs. And it was a lot more than selling Girl Scout cookies. And then in high school, I can remember joining the Junior Civitan Club and helping to raise money. Had the opportunity to serve in a district position with the state as a young person, and all the opportunities that opened my eyes to the fact that Friday night football was not what every student in North Carolina was experiencing. There were kids with disabilities and adults with disabilities, and Junior Civitan's focus to meet those needs. And had the chance to go to Canada and do a dance-a-thon, and I think really that was my first big fundraiser where I saw, gosh, something fun and exciting could benefit others. Even in college, I went to Wake Forest University and the Brian Piccolo Cancer Fund Drive. So Brian Piccolo was a football player, and all of the students in Greek life and service organizations across the campus united around one fundraising opportunity. And I got to lead a group of individuals, even in college, to help just organize folks. And that was probably one of the key things that got me started was I could see a group of people and unite them around a common goal. And if you had asked me 30 years ago, I can't believe college was that long ago, but if you'd asked me 30 years ago, would be using my professional life to serve others, I would have said, "You've lost your mind." But yet here I am, and it's not been work; it's been fun and an amazing journey. So,
Well, you
um,
brought out two key points that I like to hear, and there's a joy, the excitement of doing something. It's not I think sometimes volunteering is a labor thing where we're giving somebody and helping them. We don't really realize the joy in ourselves. The other thing that you brought out that I appreciate is there's so many opportunities like Girl Scouts for you and those things that if I'm a parent and I really want to mentor my son or my daughter to be someone who loves to serve, then there are opportunities that they can be involved with that's already built into serving. So we're not all of the time trying to orchestrate something for our son or daughter to be a part of. They get a part of something that's existing, and then they begin to feel the joy based on their peers because you were with your peers in Girl Scouts. And so there's a lot of organizations that have serving as part of their. In fact, I think a big part of Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts was earning badges, and you had to work for it, and you had to
sure.
serve.
I can't agree more with that. Parents really are the key, Carlton. Really, if our current parent base today doesn't emulate and teach the younger generation to serve. I really think that we're in a heap of trouble as we see young people grow up today. We're living in such a me society. People are trapped in social media. They're focused on themselves and what's good for themselves. But it really is up to the parents of today to teach the next generation to give back.
Right. And you hear all the time that there's a generation of people who they would go for a cause. I mean, if it's something I can give to and it's a crisis, I'll give to that. But if it's something ongoing, someone with disabilities and I'm working side by side with them, I'm working in a food pantry and I'm watching people come and go, it's a whole lot easier to just hit something that's a GoFundMe. I don't know what's going on, but I feel good I've done my part. And the joy of serving is in the action. It's a verb. It's an action thing where I'm giving myself. I'm seeing others, and I love people. It's a love for people before you see anything else. I love people. God told us to love people, love Him, and love His people, and that's where it starts. And then the passion for serving picks up when you start seeing that person needs something. Not that there's a need and there's a person embedded in there. It's kind of the other way around. And that's what I've always loved. It. Whatever I approach, I try to approach it as these are people. We start with that, and then we can look around the situations because they may not be in that situation all the time, but they're God's people all the time.
They are God's people. And, I firmly believe, that when a person chooses to be a believer, in Jesus, that at that time of that decision, that He uniquely gifts them with gifts and talents, and that He intends for those gifts and talents to be used for not only His good, but for the good of others. And so, when you look at all the opportunities that there are to serve in our community, people are gifted in different ways to fill those niches and fill those needs. And so, what I would tell others is absolutely find the space that brings you joy. Don't volunteer for something that you find to be mundane. Just find the space that gives you joy, and you'll know that you are right in the place that God intended you to be to give
Yep.
back.
And I think people that needs to be brought up too. That's a great point. When people come, they want you to tell them what to do, and you find people that in our case we lease a building, but part of the lease is covering the grounds, is doing the mowing and things, and so. I have a volunteer now that just is incredible. The joy is being outside. He's retired. That's what he wants to do. And so if I would have said, we have this one thing that you need to do, I don't think he would have found joy in it and probably no long-term commitment in that. So we always say, what do you like to do? I mean, what are some things that really bring you joy? And it could be that you're an event person. You really help us with an event. It could be you're in the classroom and the joy is every day or whatever days you can come. You're a one-on-one. You're bringing encouragement to our folks, and you get to see the outcomes of what's happening. At the end of the day, you got this great feeling. And as most would say, and I'm sure you hear the same thing, I was blessed way more than I think I blessed them. I mean, God just showed me things I didn't know before.
Isn't
So
that so cool?
it is,
I
it
love
is,
that.
it's
Yep.
really good. And I think that the same thing that would happen with your organization and mine, and we'll bring in Community of Hope here, that there's an idea of what that looks like someone who is food insecure and what that should look like, or someone with a disability, and this is exactly what it looks like. And when they get into the personal part, where they're one-on-one, or there's even if they're serving and the people are coming through, all of a sudden it's a people thing, and everything I built up in my head may not be true. I may get a better picture of people, and then I realize what I can do to make that better. To be a part of helping them up and out of where they are. For our folks with disabilities, it's having a place to serve. I mean, that's our main thing. Become independent, but God didn't mean for you to be independent. Serve yourself. It was to serve others, and so there's the circle, that we have there. And yours, I know there's multiple programs that you have in Community of Hope. I think you need a legal pad. We're looking at your services now. How many different things that you do? And so I was kind of looking at your website and the things that you're doing, and it grows every time I hear you speak, which I enjoy hearing you speak, and you have an incredible voice. Everybody that knows you knows that too. But what are some of the things, and tell me a little bit about Community of Hope and the serving aspect that happens there.
Absolutely. So that's a joy just to share with you that God has really given Community of Hope a place to serve in the Garner community. And it goes back to that premise that I mentioned before, that there are lots of meaningful Christian nonprofits and other nonprofits that are meeting a need in the community. And so when I think about able to serve and how we walk in partnership together, both trying to honor Jesus, but also trying to meet the needs that are placed in front of us. For you, it's just folks with disabilities. For us, it's families who are living in that pocket of poverty. They're economically disadvantaged. They consistently struggle with barriers to success. And so the mission statement of Community of Hope is to eliminate barriers to success at home, at work, at school, and in the community. So we serve both students and older individuals. 10 programs strong, but good gracious, we did not start that way. We started as an after-school program for at-risk elementary age children. And Carlton, our main goal in starting that after school program was to help those students break the cycle by poverty by being on grade level by the end of fifth grade. We had data that suggested that students below grade level at the end of fifth grade had a 5 time greater
Mm.
chance of not completing high school. And we had further data that suggested that students that don't complete high school are going to be dependent on our social services system. And we thought to ourselves, gosh, how could we bring those students on our campus and love on them, share with them the love of Jesus, but also give them the academic tools that they needed to be successful. And 2 years into doing that, God, bam, opened our eyes, and he said, you can be doing more. These students in need represent families in need. And those families were dealing with a whole cadre of symptoms, like food insecurity and unemployment and lack of transportation. And we started asking the question, okay, how do we meet those families where they are? We read a book called When Helping Hurts, and we said, this is ridiculous. Why would we cook up ideas to try to do things to families that they don't need, trying to offer something meaningful? Um, and really, God just said, this, just do this, just honor me and love on them. And now we're 10 programs strong, including an after school program, which was our flagship program, the food pantry, a summer camp, a track out program, financial literacy, a jobs for life program, carpenter's hands, a huge garden.
Huge garden.
Huge,
Yes.
because guess what? Vegetables are expensive.
Yes.
So we said, let's use that as a learning lab for the students that we're teaching, and no one has to be hungry if they can learn how to grow a tomato or a cucumber or a squash. And so we use that produce to help our food pantry, but we also use it to help feed our campers in the summer. I chased a squirrel there a little bit. We got unbuckled, but we have a carpenter's hands program, and now our 10th program is a furniture ministry. And never once did we sit around a table and say, hey, let's think up a great idea and let's just go do that. Always God placed that need in front of us, and he then um, brought the people and the resources to meet that need. And by resources, a lot of people think money, but what we're talking about here today is volunteers.
Right.
And I'm just going to bring it back to that. So, in the 10 ministries, 80% of what Community of Hope does is done with people who love to serve. And just like you, somebody will say, hey, I like your organization. How can I get involved? And our first question back to them is, well, tell us a little bit about you. What do you like to do? Where do you like to serve? So, why in the world would I place a 60-year-old retired individual work work with my after school children, wherein children terrify them? But what they really like to do is, they, as you said, they like to be out. And so, would you like to drive a vehicle and go to Food Lion and pick up food for us for our food pantry? 100%. So really, it's getting to know the people who want to serve and helping them to identify the places where they'll be uniquely gifted to serve best. And that really is the success story of Community of Hope. We have just been so, so blessed to have individuals to come before us and say, I'd like to give back, but I don't know how. And I've only got a little bit of time, and helping them to understand that whether it's 15 minutes or 15 hours, every minute and every second that they give is a meaningful part of our success story.
Right. And we did a little bit of a statistics on our folks, on our volunteers, and they saved us thousands of dollars if we would have had to staff it. So something with so many hands being in so many parts. I don't know if we always realize if I didn't give financially, but I have saved an organization because they would have to hire someone, and the cost of hiring someone and everything that comes along with it, when you can have people who come in. I forgot, we were over $100,000 with just volunteers. So I think that's an important part too that sometimes we don't think about. Even I don't think about when I'm volunteering somewhere. I don't really think about the economic part of it. It's I'm giving, and this is great, and I love what's happening here. But I'm also giving so that monies are used to go exactly where it needs to be, and not toward a staff. And when if it's needed, it's needed. But if it's really not, it's more hands-on deck things that we can do that anyone in the community can do at any time. Trying to make sure that we're putting out as much as we can. So volunteering opportunities are just rampant in Garner. I mean, there's so many good nonprofits and so many things going on. I don't think it would be hard to find somewhere that you could plug in whatever your schedule is, however long you work, if it's weekends. I really can't believe that anyone could say, I've just looked everywhere and based on my schedule, I can't volunteer. And I want to say Dr. Blackaby, Experiencing God was one of the studies, discipleship courses, where I actually went into ministry during that course. And he talks about spiritual markers. And as you were talking, I didn't realize you were a school teacher at one time.
Yep, I sure was.
Didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So look at that marker back where education and these kids and getting to grade level was so important, because that was given to you as an important thing. Education is important for, doesn't matter where you are on the scale. If you're someone with disabilities and stuff, it's you have this want to for them to be successful, and that want has to be where kids are learning at their level and whatever assistance they need and things. So I couldn't help but think about the spiritual marker from education going into teaching, and now you have this heart for what started was an after school program.
Yeah, I got to highlight the Henry Blackaby story. So I would say that experiencing God Bible study changed my life, um, because it really, if you're not familiar with that story, oh my gracious, you can go get it on Amazon. But it is a study that really just says that once you see God at work, that's your invitation to join Him, and it just imparted in me that there was something that every individual can do, but it was the catalyst to, okay, you've got to get busy. You can be doing more. What are you doing with your idle time? And that study is just a phenomenal just walk through to always being open to the opportunities that are in front of you. And if you're seeing it, that's God saying, "Hey, you, I need you. I can use you to serve me right here
Right.
in the greater Garner
Right. And some
community
people
for
sit
sure."
back, whether it be for their faith or what is that niche for me. And one of the things that he brought out is that you should be involved in everything. Just get involved with everything, and then it'll begin to become clear. So even if it's I'm going to go to this organization and I'm going to serve for a little while and kind of see how that works, but then I'm going to try this organization and things. It's really about getting busy and then allowing that to move you towards. I know that was my calling the ministry, and it kept saying, where are your markers? And I kept looking at a father, a pastor, and a sister with special needs, and all that. And then it was just get involved. And so I started making announcements at the church and teaching the adult Sunday school class, which is tough. But just putting myself out there and realizing that there was a direction, but I had to get busy. I had to get into things. So waiting on your niche. If you're waiting on a niche as a volunteer, just volunteer. Garner is full of great places to volunteer, and then you'll see where, oh my gosh, this is where I find my joy. This is where I find my service in that. So I'm very honored to be a part of Garner and the incredible nonprofits that are there. The recognition that you've had has been amazing. I kind of researched you a little bit, and you have a lot of things that say thank you for serving the community over and over and over. So I want to thank you from someone who knows that it's important to be a good nonprofit. It's important to be an ethical nonprofit, and that takes a lot of work. takes a lot of work, and you have a lot of people who are surrounding you that you have to make sure that the mission and the vision and the faith-based part doesn't
Mm,
go anywhere. So
yeah.
that's a monumental task aside from running and getting things and all the hands-on things that you do also. So I'm honored to have you on this podcast with all that you've done and being able to spotlight you on the serving effect.
Well, those are mighty kind words. What I can tell you is that, ministry can be messy, it can be difficult, it can be lonely. So, part of the thing that has made Community of Hope and Able to Serve so powerful together is that we have been so blessed to have such good leadership to bounce ideas off of and support and share opportunities together. And so I would just put that right back in your court that you just celebrated your 20th anniversary with
22nd.
22nd, and we're
22nd.
in the middle of our 20th year. So it's really remarkable that the two ministries together got their start 2 decades ago, and watching each of us labor. And Garner really is, it's grown exponentially
Yes, it has.
since we started.
Yes, it has.
But to see and walk alongside you and watch you always point others to the needs that are just evident in the community in Garner that shares a lot of disabilities, where they are, whether large or small. But to see you always point others to Christ and to be an ambassador for not only Jesus, but the families that you serve and your own organization has been such an incredible just encouragement to me as a leader, to know that there were others out there doing the same thing on their own walk in their own way, but with a common goal in mind.
Yes,
So
yes. I think you have to have a lot of passion, and you have to understand the hard work that runs behind it. And that's why I love to see other nonprofits, because it kind of sets a bar. It says, if I want to be at this level. So you find those nonprofits wherever they are, and you look at them and say, where is it going, and how can I do better? What's better? Our thing each year is, what are we doing good and what can we do better? And so each year we say the only thing consistent about Able to Serve is change. So we did the same thing with our families. It's what's
yeah.
affecting, our families, where they have things that may cause them either not to come to the program or have difficulties in some area. And so I think the reality is, we just look at the need and we talk to the people. That's just one big thing of where staying relevant means that you're listening to the community, you're aware of what's going on, and then you're listening to the people. That's part of your mission. That's just an important thing to me. And so you have been one of those people who's championed it. And I like champions. I like pioneers who continue to say, what's better? What can we do better? And so I know that you have that heart. Thank you, Amy, for being a part of this episode of The Serving Effect. We've come to the end of another inspiring story. I hope if this story has moved you, that you'll share it with someone who needs that inspirational spark to get started serving their community. If you are actively serving your community, we are so thankful for you. If you aren't, we hope that you'll find a place where you can serve, get started in learning the joy of serving others. We know that everyone has the ability to create positive change and build a better community. So thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll join us next time on The Serving Effect. I want to take this opportunity to thank Smith Addressing and Machine Service for hosting the location where we do our podcast, The Serving Effect, and to our sponsors, the morning and the midday Rotary Clubs of Garner. We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to share in this podcast of how people can get involved in their community and make a difference in the lives of others.